In fact, Jade, can you guys hear me okay?
Unlocking economies of the scale for solar companies is what we call this conversation today. Hello, welcome. This is Power Solutions, brought to you by Nigeria Info in partnership with All On, your energy investment company that you can trust, you can rely and depend on them, if you know what I'm talking about. And there you heard the laughter that's giggling of my amazing co-host on the show today. Her name is Jadesola Rawa. She's a policy and partnerships associate of All On. Hi, Jade. Good to see you.
Collins, it's good to see you. I don't know why I'm laughing this morning.
Yeah, I know.
You know why I'm laughing.
I know. I know. It has to do with our guests today.
It has to do with our guests today.
Anyways, having said that, it's a good time to bring in our guest and then also start this conversation.
Absolutely. So if I'm doing the honors this morning, our guest this morning is I'm going to pronounce this with all the panache that you need.
Yeah.
Senior Investment Associate. Olon. My brother. My colleague. My oga at the top. Well, let's show you can look alike. If you guys can see, you can see what's going on with this. So this is my colleague, Goziem Okubor. He's the Senior Investment Associate at Olon, and he's our guest today. So it's going to be a very interesting one. This is like family.
Absolutely.
Today, yeah. So it's today now. You now know, like, you know, when breeze has blown and found the shadow, all that stuff.
Anyways, Goziem, good to have you join us on Power Solutions today.
It's so good to be here. Jade, please go easy on me. Thank you very much.
You know those days when I beg you for food in the office and you don't give me, today's the day that we will take. Today's the day of reckoning.
So you have scores to settle, and right now on national radio, you've got to settle it. I'll be here to, you know, that's why I'm in the middle. Like, no, that's enough. Uppercut, this way.
It's good to be here.
Unlocking economies of scale for solar companies is what we call this conversation. Within this conversation, like you heard, we have Senior Investment Associate of All On, Goziem Okubor, joining us live. You know, I'm going to ask, you know, the first question, which has to do with, as a Senior Investment Associate, I don't know what that means. What's your role? What does that entail?
It's a big boy role. Because then break it down for us. What do the big boys do?
Well, first of all, I fight with Jade. That's the first thing I do.
Okay.
But apart from that, though, basically, Olon's mandate is to invest in companies that are working to bridge the energy access gap.
Yeah.
And so my role is basically being one of the troops on the ground, looking for companies that are doing interesting things, finding ways to support them, getting them through our investment process, and also helping to sort of monitor those investments and make sure that these companies are growing sustainably. Because ultimately, we're trying to reach our goal of about 1 million new connections to clean and sustainable energy by 2030. So we do the work of just getting that done, and then we fight with Jade for the rest.
No man, because they were trying to make it like food soldier type thing, but I mean, there's a lot of work, like Goziem says, and there's a lot that we do at Olon, and that takes us to the next question.
That's right.
Which is about the investment, the financial commitment that Olon has made into in the sector. So just to give you a few of the numbers, we've grown. Our commitment has grown to about 200 million. And we have a portfolio of about 40 investees as of October.
Now, $200 million. Please.
Yes.
Add that.
Yes, okay.
Very necessary.
Yeah, I didn't want to shock them. I didn't want it to choke, but okay, $200 million, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have about 40 investees as of October 2021. So give us a breakdown of our portfolio and the investment approach. So these 40 investees, where are they from? How do we get them? That kind of thing. And then, what are the things that we look out for at Olon when we invest? So,
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Where I think what we do at Olon is really interesting, right? So across our portfolio, we have an early stage portfolio, basically that's where all the innovation is happening, right? So companies that are building new things, building new business models, testing out new business models, piloting new business models, we basically look out for those guys. We have a program through the All On Hub with the USADF called the Energy Challenge, right? And every year we select new companies into that portfolio to help them pilot new business models. Then where it gets, super interesting as well is the growth stage portfolio. So our hope is that we invest in companies at the early stage, and then they grow their business models, grow their customers, grow their operations, to be able to take on larger financing. So this is between $500,000 to $3 million type financing. So I basically kind of focus on that growth stage portfolio as well. Our investment process is basically two things. So do you have an interesting solution that is using clean energy, to deliver power to unserved and underserved people in Nigeria, because those are really the people that need the services that we try to invest in. And then, are you building a sustainable business in a way that is scalable and sustainable? So those are the two lenses that we try to look at and help companies to continue to meet. And once we have those two things, really that's where the investment process kicks in. And I think we've done a good job so far, because there's so much innovation happening in the energy space as well in Nigeria.
Beautiful. I mean, you have done a good job. If you want me to affirm that, I could say that for sure. You're doing a great job.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then did you hear the part where Goziem said, he's in charge of the, he specializes in the growth stage. So when I call somebody or guy at the top, they say no.
Have I not been?
They be forming bashful on the air, but like the big boy level growth stage.
No, so said I've been taking notes, because I've been taking notes.
Start your own company.
If I started.
Let's go.
Do you know if I'm?
Let's go.
Oh.
No, but I need to plug Jade here because research is actually like a huge part of what we do, and how we are able to not just what we give out to the community to help them, but also within our investment process. What should we be looking out for? What problems can we be solving? And even the DART program that we're talking about really was supported by a research grant that Jade's team and Auntie Jade really got pushed.
Attack investment of defense.
That's the interplay between the work that we do even on the investment team as well as our policy and partnerships team that makes All On so unique and really interesting to work in.
Absolutely.
Man, don't you just love All On? Well done, Jade. So, but here is it. I'm going to bring it down to the common man, because my listener out there is just like, okay, how this one, how does it affect me? So I'm going to ask a question that has to do with that. It has to do with all these investments here and there, in especially in this, this renewable energy sector, as it were, and what you're doing. The costs of solar is still, especially at the last mile, is still relatively still expensive, if you must say. Is there a reason behind this? Why? Because you still have people like, I love this solar, but the cost, is for big men. Is it so, and why? Why is it so?
No, that's a great question. I think it's really what we're trying to solve. You can't really, people at the end of the day, people don't care whether their energy is clean or not, right? They want constant power that is affordable and that can work for them and the things that they need. And we recognize that at All On. One of the reasons that I would put forward is really the industry is really full of small and medium scale enterprises, right? And in our that's why, for example, our early stage portfolio is probably by absolute number of companies is probably the biggest part of our portfolio. What we try to do is support these guys from pilot stage to grow into sustainable companies. But when you have an industry full of SMEs, the problem they have is scale. So they're not able to take advantage of what we call economies of scale, meaning that in simple English, it means that the more volume you are able to buy, the better prices you are able to negotiate from your manufacturers. And right now you have an industry full of companies that are procuring products for one project or another because of that lack of financing and affordable financing. That's the bridge that Olon is trying to fill. One, in our direct investment portfolio, but also through the DART program that we just recently launched with our partners Odyssey and Global Energy Alliance for People and Planet. It's about providing aggregated procurement, so giving them that economies of scale, really bunch orders together and be able to make larger orders from manufacturers, and then also put in financing to finance the upfront cost of these orders. That way, what you're going to have is bigger orders, lower prices, and then ultimately, if we're successful, lower prices to the customer as well, which is really what we're trying to achieve with this program.
Awesome. Yeah. You kind of like just went from Collins's question into that question, which is fantastic. But just tell us a little bit more about. I mean, I know you said earlier that a lot of what we do at Olon is guided by the research work that we do. So we find like what are the problems in the sector, and then like how do we help to solve these problems. So one of these, of course, is the fact that like you said, it's the cost and all of that. So tell us how Odyssey and Global Alliance, tell us how this partnership came about. Like, why are these the right people to engage in solving this problem through the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Odyssey is a company that is very familiar to anybody who works in the industry, right? They're a technology. They run a technology platform. Their technology platform is basically runs the Nigeria electrification project, right? So they host a lot of data. They see a lot of data from the mini grid developers and solar home systems developers, and they're almost like a one-stop platform for the industry, right? Global Energy Alliance was from the Rockefeller Foundation, but it's also a coalition of other partners, IKEA Foundation, and other international partners that really care about energy access and have committed capital to solving energy access gaps across the world with transformational investments. And Olon, our mandate is clear. This is what we do. We started talking about this program over the course of the year, supported by the research that we had commissioned with the SE for All. And that particular research was very interesting because it recommended two things to eventually bring down the cost of solar, right? The first was aggregated procurement as a short-term solution. So give these developers, economies of scale. And then the ultimate sort of larger long-term solution is localizing the value chain for renewable energy. In fact, that's something that through our investments we've been looking at. So with our investment in Oxano Solar, for example, assembling solar panels in Nigeria, we're trying to then continue that process. So that's how that came about. We were both aligned on the sort of solutions that we wanted to try on in the industry, and so this DART program came about there. So Olon put down $5 million, and then we were supported by a recoverable grant of $5 million as well from the Global Energy Alliance, and then Odyssey Energy Solutions is going to be the aggregation agent, basically working with the developers, collecting information, hosting a technology platform, and aggregating orders on behalf of developers to the manufacturers, supported by the financing facility that Olon is managing.
Awesome.
Wow.
This is revolutionary, and I'm proud.
That's major. It's a little big. But how can companies access this DART program, and who is eligible?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So for now, eligible developers are mini grid developers, right? So developers of solar projects that use solar components. So your solar panels, your inverters, your batteries, your meters, right? Those are the components that we're going to be aggregating in this project. So the eligible companies, for one, the first thing is they have to be registered, they have to be pre-qualified under the Nigeria electrification project. Okay. And the reason for that is one of the things that we're trying to do as well is support other initiatives in the sector. The NEP is a landmark initiative in the sector, and so our upfront financing is going to be able to allow companies finish their projects quicker under the NEP because now they have the upfront financing to finance the equipment costs that they need to build projects and then become eligible for subsidies. Then we have other things around, these companies must have been operating in the sector for a number of years. They must be in good standing. The companies must be, legally and good legal and regulatory standing in Nigeria and things like that. We publish a full list of eligibility criteria in some of the documents that are going to be going out over the next few days. Developers can go to the All-On website as www.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh yeah, continue. www. That's all.
www. If my oga at the top.
All.
www.all-on.com. Yes, we're going to be publishing more information around eligibility, how to apply, and how to access the DART program in the next few days. So that's really where a lot of that information is going to be warehoused. But yeah, the eligible developers, I think the first thing to make clear is they must be pre-qualified for the NEP, and they must be in good legal and regulatory standing in Nigeria. That's basically the sort of key eligibility criteria. There's more, but we'll see that on the list of criteria that we publish.
Okay. So before I let Collins ask you the next question, just a little bit more about this NEP and all of that. So does this mean that we're going to be working closely with the REA, right? Because the NEP is domiciled with them. That's their thing. So number one, does this mean that we're going to work closely with the REA to and then I know that in the past there have been a few challenges that developers have complained about with, being able to qualify for this or qualify for that and that kind of thing. So how are we looking to solve that problem, especially also, with them having to pre-qualify for the NEP? And tell us a bit more about that,
Yeah, the NEP and the REA is basically a key stakeholder in the industry, right? The REA is the Rural Electrification Agency. They are basically the regulator around the off-grid energy industry. They've done a great work over the past couple of years, and the NEP is a landmark program that's funded by the World Bank and I think the AFTB as well. One of the goals of the NEP project is to fund, at least support the sort of scaling up of mini grids and solar home systems distribution across Nigeria. So eligible companies submit project plans. They look at communities that they're going to be building projects in, and then they do impact assessments and things like that to qualify for the NEP program. One of the problems that developers then have sort of voiced out is the fact that because what the NEP does, so let me just backtrack a little bit. What the NEP does is it provides subsidies, right? Results-based subsidies to developers of projects. In simple English, what it means is that if you spend this amount of money to build a project, the NEP pays you a portion of the cost per connection of your project back as subsidies. So it's a great way to sort of de-risk the industry and building of mini grids. The problem with that is because the subsidies are results-based, developers have to find upfront financing in order to build the projects that qualify for the subsidies. And so that's a chicken and egg problem, because then how do you find the financing to fund the building of projects that are then eligible for subsidies? So we plan to support that project, and really what we're doing with the DART program is providing upfront financing at very affordable rates to these developers in order for them to build the projects that will enable them qualify for the subsidies on the NEP program, in a quicker way, and thereby actually support the scaling up of this program, this laudable program that the government and other are working on. So I think that's also the interesting thing about what we're doing with DART, and if we're successful, we should have a scaling up effect on other programs as well in the space, and that's something we're excited about.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Power Solutions on Nigeria Info, brought to you in partnership with All On. And we do have the Senior Investment Associate of All On joining us as a guest of this show, and Goziem Okubor speaking to us. He just talked about DART, and that's DART, and it's a program. You've talked about eligibility, those who the program is meant for, and I have one more question for you concerning that. And why is All On funding the DART financing facility now? How does this tie into, All On's work and mission?
Yeah, it's a great question. So All On is established to enable energy access for unserved and underserved individuals across households and communities, businesses across Nigeria. That's what we do. So we do that by directly investing, which is sort of the portfolio that myself and my team members work on. Okay. We also do that by enabling finance, and then Jade's team basically convenes and provides information and just does the enabling environment work around that. But the enabling finance work is important because what that means is that we try to crowd in capital, we try to crowd in ideas, try to look at what other people are doing and bring them together in order to unlock capital for entrepreneurs in the space. And that's what the DART program is meant to do. So if you see, we've worked with two companies or two organizations within the space that are doing great work in supporting entrepreneurs, right? So that's what we did. We worked with them to build this facility that we think is a potential solution to a problem that a lot of developers face and a lot of programs that are trying to help developers are facing as well. So hopefully if we work together to solve that bottleneck with aggregated procurement as well as affordable financing, we're able to unlock scale for developers in the industry and then hopefully, reduce prices for customers of solar products in Nigeria.
Awesome.
We're really excited about it.
Yeah, it is exciting. You can see Goziem say, Goziem became Wole Soyinka overnight working on this DART program. He says, but on a more serious note, though, so we know that one of the things that, you mentioned two things earlier. You said in the short term, the DART program, right, is meant to make it easier for developers to be able to bring in the products, just layman's language, products that they need, to scale up their operations. But in the long term, the hope is that we can localize production, so to speak. So tell us a little bit more about that, and who are some of the people that we have in the space that we put. Maybe it's a projection I'm asking for. So in your opinion, in 5-10 years, are we going to be in the long run, or are we still going to be in the short term? Tell us about projections.
Well, who can say, right? What we can say is that we're working very hard. So for example, Oxano Solar is an all-on investee. Yeah. They're actually interesting because they were an investee in our early stage program, right? So to pilot technology and the assembly factory. And then as they grew, we also supported them in our growth stage investment round. They basically assemble, solar products, including solar panels, locally. Starting from assembly, hopefully they aim to go into manufacturing of solar components. There are a lot of other companies that are looking at battery technology and second life lithium batteries, trying to help in developing battery storage solutions from previously used goods with batteries and things like that. There are a lot of solutions that are kind of happening in the space around localizing parts of solar components that can be used in C&I uses or household uses, and that's innovation that we see. We plan to support that wherever we find it. There are other companies, Blue Camel, I can name a few, who are sort of looking in that localization place. But one of the key things as well is capacity development. And that's really the key thing that will support even any sort of localization, right? So building the available technical skills, vocational skills at polytechnic level, at informal levels, in order to support the innovation that's happening in this space. That's a key component in sort of sustainably localizing the. Jade wants to say something.
Yeah, because you've just given me the idea you've given us one of our next grant ideas. So thank you very much, Goziem.
I think it's important, absolutely important. Absolutely. Thank you.
Wow.
We're on the same page.
Yes, sir.
I mean, this is an interesting conversation. It's having so much fun that we didn't even know that time is almost fast spent. Look at how fast this time
When
goes.
time flies when you're having fun of it.
Amazing, and he's just flowing
Yes,
with everything.
I
and
told you at the beginning,
yeah.
senior investment associate.
All right,
It's not beans.
someone sent a message on Facebook where we're streaming live and asking that how can I please, just to buttress what I said, is how can I please, is there any means to get in touch with your guest, please? That's like double please. Please in the beginning, please at the end on Facebook. That's George Emmanuel, who saw your message on Facebook live. Thank you for that message. So we'll get to that. But quick one in like a minute or thereabout. How is the government supporting this program? Any concerns around the government policies, for example, to fully implement the deliverables of this program? Because of course, you don't operate in isolation. Yeah. So are there any concerns about regulations, about policies, and how is the government? What role is the government playing?
I think so. For one, we're tying into a government-led program with the NEP, but also part of the DART program, and just to sort of buttress the elements of the DART program, is aggregated procurement, aggregated procurement in order to get volume-based discounts, right? And then coordinated logistics processes in order to help developers streamline their processes and hopefully, their landed cost, and then the financing. So the logistics part of it, is important and has a lot of implications or areas that governments can help to clarify, duties, clarify tariffs on solar components. But that's something that we'll continue to look out for, continue to work with the developers, listen to the developers, listen to other stakeholders, and hopefully, we are able to navigate through this. But we plan to work with high quality suppliers, high quality and high integrity developers, and help to coalesce and aggregate and hopefully, bring down the cost of solar in Nigeria.
I love that those keywords you used as the last that we're going to take here. Bring down the cost of solar. I'm sure someone will be saying amen to that out there, because we love it. It's clean. We love it. It has also be very affordable, and I'm sure we're going to get there.
Absolutely.
That's it on the show. Our time is fast spent. We just say bye, and that's it. Jade, was great having you. Join me on this show.
And it was good to be able to talk to Goziem. And just
Goziem,
one last thing, just say, how proud I am of Olon, the work that we do, and people like Goziem and the entire team. And I'm so glad to be a part of that team. So
wow.
Well done, Goziem. I will never say this again. I've said it today now. I will never say it again.
Daddy, I'm proud of you.
Goziem, it was nice talking to you indeed. Thank you, Jade. That's it for the show. God bless you guys. Stick around. Power Solutions makes a return next week. The news coming up right now.
No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. It's okay. She. Off your mic. All over, please.